Got some nerve. Pressing the main contractor as just a subcontractor, huh?
That's what I was told by Jeff, the main contractor's department head. His words threw me off. He even called me lowly guy because I only graduated high school. I was seriously thinking about changing my assignment after this project. I had taken on a $70 million project from Jeff, putting in my all, but it fell through. Maybe I wasn't skilled enough. His words, "I'm eating now. Wait till tonight, lowly guy." That seemed to hide the real reason for the failure. My name is Harry Turner. Right after high school, I joined Franklin Industries. I lost my father early and was raised by my mother alone. I had a younger sister and brother, so I chose to work instead of going to college to ease my mother's burden. She strongly pushed me towards college, but I kept saying no. I told her I preferred working over studying. Every time I saw my mother for a few days, she'd say, "Go to college." But I was set on working instead of going to college. Finally, she gave in and suggested a job at Franklin Industries, where I now work in sales. I was assigned to the sales department and worked hard to become competent, learning from my bosses and reading lots of self-help books at home. 10 years passed. I was now working with Rachel, who was my trainer, and about to retire to get married.
We're at Johnson Motors today, a world-class company. Steve, their rep, is a veteran who taught me everything about sales. It's your turn now, Harry.
Rachel was a top salesperson. Since she was retiring, I took over some of her clients. Today, I accompanied her. We arrived at Johnson Motors and went to the conference room.
Congratulations on your marriage, Rachel. At first, I thought Franklin Industries was mocking us, sending a strange young girl fresh out of college to handle our account. Just joking, you know. You turned out to be an incredibly hard worker, and I think we've had a great partnership. Today, I'm as happy as if I were your parents.
The client said, and the meeting was friendly throughout.
I'm looking forward to working with you, Harry. So, we have a request for you.
I listened carefully, with Rachel's help, and discussed the details. I'll take this back to the office and get back to you early next week.
Great. Are you gonna still be around, Rachel?
I'll be here until the 31st this month, so let me know if you need anything.
I immediately started working on the request from Johnson Motors, going through departments, making documents, having Rachel check them, getting my supervisor's approval, and then setting up a meeting with Steve.
Hey, who lied to me? I heard the new rep was a stunning beauty in good shape. But it's a guy, and so young. Are they mocking us? Remember their place, subcontractor.
The guy who appeared in the meeting room was a sight. He had a water bottle in one hand and was wearing a flashy shirt with visible tattoos peeking out from the sleeves. He had long blonde hair and looked about my age.
I'm Jeff. Starting today, I'm supposed to be your contact, but I'm declining, so that's that.
He said, then left the room. I was completely clueless about what had just happened. After waiting around for about 10 minutes, the guy who called himself Johnson came back.
You didn't leave. Huck, impressive. I was thinking of canceling the deal if you had gone. Too bad. The old man must have asked you for something. Show me. Explain it. Quick.
While getting ready and feeling a bit thrown off, I asked him a question that was on my mind. What about Steve, our usual contact.
He was useless, so I sent him to handle the warehouse. Heard he threw out his back in 3 days and is now in the hospital. Useless, right?
I started explaining the proposal with as much calm as I could muster.
So, how much is it going to cost, and when can you deliver?
As I mentioned on the last page of the proposal,
Oh, $10,000 for 2 weeks, right?
no, it's $100,000 for 2 weeks.
That's pricey. A tenfold increase just because you're a subcontractor.
I chose to stay silent.
I like that look on your face. Let's go with this. You've got contracts to sign and all, right? I'll get it done, so come pick it up tomorrow.
Somehow, amidst the chaos, it seemed like I had managed to seal the deal. The next day, I was at Johnson Motors to pick up the contract from Jeff, the department head.
Wow, you're early. The contract is ready, so take it back with you.
Thank you. We'll get started on the work right away.
What? You haven't started yet. I could have canceled it, you know.
Eh.
I like that look. I love your reaction. See ya.
I was really thrown off. As I was leaving the meeting room, someone spoke to me from behind. It was Steve on crutches. Are you okay? I heard about you from Jeff.
Yo, got hurt doing some heavy lifting I'm not used to.
We chatted for a bit and then parted ways. A few days later, while working at my desk in the afternoon, I got an internal call from a colleague in another department. They informed me that the payment from Johnson Motors hadn't come through yet. Normally, it wouldn't be this late, so they contacted me, the person in charge. I confirmed the late payment and called Jeff at Johnson Motors.
Got some nerve, calling the main contractor as a subcontractor. But don't worry, I just went on a little vacation, and that's why the processing got delayed. You can wait a couple of days, right? Being a subcontractor and all.
He said this unilaterally and hung up. I wondered if contractors really cared about who was in charge between main and subcontractors. I thought you should have done it before your vacation, but didn't say it. After the call, it still took 4 more days to confirm the payment. Just as I was about to make another call, the phone rang.
Harry, you have a call. It's Jeff from Johnson Motors.
Jeff was on the line.
I just finished the procedure. You should be grateful I'm calling to tell a subcontractor personally.
Thank you. Similar payment delays happened several times after this incident. Jeff's words always had a bit of an edge, but I kept my cool.
You're always so cool, aren't you? Here's a big opportunity. Did you know that next year, new safety standards are coming in, and cars won't pass inspection without this new part?
Yes, I heard it's a small part requiring advanced manufacturing techniques.
Good. That is subcontractor, always up to date. So, here's the thing. We're looking for companies to manufacture this part. I've entered your company in the running. It's a deal worth over $70 million. You're in, right? We'll have a detailed briefing tomorrow at exactly 1 p.m. in the large conference room on the 3rd floor of Johnson Motors headquarters. If you're a subcontractor and interested, gather up or, better yet, just come.
Jeff said we should come to the meeting. What should we do? I had just reported to my supervisor about this huge deal that Jeff mentioned.
Right now, we need the parts specifications. Gotta hear what the guys on the floor have to say too. Let's take our engineer with us tomorrow.
The next day at 12:40 p.m., the engineer and I were escorted to the third-floor conference room at Johnson Motors headquarters. It is indeed the headquarters of the company. Just the corridor we walked through had 3 conference rooms. We were seated, and 10 minutes before the meeting, nobody else had arrived. Then, the conference room door opened. Expecting another company, I was surprised to see Mr. Johnson and several men in work clothes enter.
Okay, let's get started. Today, our field technicians will give the explanation. I'm handing out 3 copies of the same document, so share it with the person next to you. You guys, explain it clearly to this subcontractor. Dumb as a monkey. It's a gracious explanation from the main contractor, so listen up, subcontractors.
Are no other companies coming? The answer was straightforward.
Who else but your company can make this as a subcontractor? We didn't invite anyone else. Don't get too cocky just because the main contractor spoke to you.
My technician colleague and I listened to 2 Johnson Motors technicians and a specialist for about 2 hours.
Can you make it, being just a subcontractor?
It seems feasible from our technician's perspective, but we have a few questions.
Ask away.
We ask several questions.
Anything else you want to ask? Are we done with this meeting, subcontractors?
Thank you. We've got a good idea now. We'll take this back and discuss it.
It's a $70 million annual deal. Remember, don't come back saying you can't do it, even if you're just a subcontractor.
Back at the office, we had a meeting as planned with all department heads.
To make this, we'll need to use a patent technology we acquired before. We haven't agreed on usage rights with Johnson Motors, so we need their signature. But we can make a prototype in 4 days. Easier than I thought.
The next day, I called Jeff to make an appointment and visited him.
What? You're here to say no to the $70 million deal, subcontractor.
I had come to Johnson Motors' meeting room with our technician. It was a challenging request, but our technicians managed to make it happen.
You've got a sample. Let's see it.
We handed the sample to Johnson Motors' technical department head. He started measuring it from every angle.
Size and shape are perfect. Let me do a function check.
We'd like our technician to observe, if possible.
Take them with you. Go ahead and do the check. Feel free in the room.
Our technician went with their head of technical department to do the field verification.
If the sample works, we'll proceed as planned. The price and delivery date.
That depends on the sample, but that's the intention.
Right. But they're taking too long, aren't they?
The technical department of Johnson Motors. Soon, Johnson Motors' technical department head and our technician returned.
The sample's good, even for a subcontractor, so we'll proceed as planned.
Thank you. However, to manufacture this product, we need to use a patented technology. We need a signature by 8 p.m. in 3 days to proceed as planned.
3 days. Just sign it, right? I can do that. Should I write Dear Harry? Just kidding. You need the company seal too. Can't do it now. Let's handle it later.
Please make sure it's done.
Don't get ahead of yourself, subcontractor. Didn't they teach you manners in college?
I wouldn't know. I didn't go to college.
What? A lowlife? Is that why you're acting like this? By the way, there are no lowlifes at Johnson Motors. That's why you could only get into subcontracting.
I seriously thought about changing my assignment after this was over. I've been calling every day since for the documents.
Busy yesterday. I'll do it tomorrow.
When I visited the next day,
Mr. Johnson is off today.
soon, it was the last day, the 30th.
He stepped out right now.
Can you get a hold of Mr. Johnson? It's urgent.
Please wait a moment.
I was seriously worried. It was almost 7 p.m.
From Jeff, the department head. Here you go.
Are the documents ready?
What? I'm meeting right now. Just ordered, so I'll be back in 2 hours after I finish. I'll come back for the subcontractor, even though I don't really have to.
But the deadline is in an hour.
Extend it. I was off yesterday, so consider this additional time. Maybe stoppage time is an easier concept for you, lolly guy.
There's no such thing.
I'm meeting now, so wait till tonight, lolly guy.
Is that really okay?
What?
Couldn't get the documents from Johnson Motors. Yes, understood. I'll do as instructed. It was my fault. I apologize. Thank you for saying so. I'll head back to the office now. It was 10 minutes past 8 p.m. on the 30th when I called my superior, George, at the office. It seemed the president, Edward, was there too. When I got back, both George and Edward approached me.
Let's wrap this up once and for all.
I emailed Jeff. I also spent the rest of the time drafting a closure report for the project to various stakeholders. Frankly, I was dreading tomorrow. How many places would I have to bow my head in apology? Northfield Metalworking, you had just informed me that they were gearing up for production, was one of them. At 9 p.m., as I was getting ready to leave, a call came in.
What's going on? It's a $70 million deal. You won't get such a big project as a subcontractor again. Come over now. The documents are ready. You can fudge the time, can't you?
Thank you for calling, but please don't be unreasonable. Time can't be fudged. The deadline for submitting these documents to another party was 9 p.m. It's too late now. A project this big is once in a lifetime for a small subcontractor like us. But we've decided to drop this big project. It's an order from the president. We're regretting that such a project wasn't suitable for someone with just a high school diploma like me.
What do you mean canceling the contract now? I'll sue you. What am I supposed to tell the main contractor? This is cutting-edge technology. It's about confidentiality.
We haven't signed the main contract yet. Couldn't get the documents from you. Maybe tell the main contractor that you couldn't sign the contract because you were eating. I don't think they'll take you seriously. As for the confidentiality of the cutting-edge technology, our sample creation contract states that any information we obtained from your company will remain confidential, so don't worry.
You think you're so smart, being just a subcontractor.
Yesterday, in a company meeting, George and Edward said this to me.
We've been hearing not so great things about Johnson Motors lately. Seems like this Jeff guy is quite a character, from what we've heard from various sources and your reports. If the documents don't make it in time, we decided to cancel the contract.
But canceling a $70 million contract.
Yes, it's a big deal for us too, but that's why we prioritized limiting damage over profit.
I'm coming over now. Wait there.
The call was abruptly cut. Still with that top-down attitude even now. I had the call on speaker, so George, Edward, and several others heard it.
What kind of face will he show up with? All right, then, let's wait him. Maybe go for dinner afterward.
George, Edward, and I waited in the conference room. Jeff and Charles, the president of Johnson Motors, arrived.
We heard from Jeff. We're truly sorry.
Excuse me, but what did Jeff tell you, Charles?
He said the contract couldn't be finalized due to a traffic jam.
I played the recording of my phone call with Jeff to Charles at full volume on my cell phone. I once had a dispute with a client over a phone conversation about what was said and what wasn't. Since then, I've made it a point to record all my calls.
What does this mean, Jeff? You reading? That's not what you said.
I did caught in traffic after eating.
I thought something was off. Didn't understand why Franklin Industries would cancel the contract, but now I get it. So, do you have any more of Jeff's words on your phone? If so, I'd like to hear them.
I unhesitatingly let Charles hear everything.
Guy, and Yum, are they mocking us? Remember their place, subcontractor. The old guy asked you something. Show me. Explain quickly. How dare you, a subcontractor, rush the main contractor?
That's enough. Thank you.
That was quite a friendly conversation.
I've been telling you all along. Franklin Industries is a cooperative company. What's with this subcontractor talk? I said do as you like, but remember, there's responsibility. We're removing him from this project. Would you mind accepting requests from us directly from now on?
Considering all of Jeff's actions, words, and attitudes, it's clear his lack of management is also Charles' responsibility. A $70 million project is huge for us too, but the damage we've suffered is immeasurable. After weighing everything, we've decided to withdraw from all future dealings with Johnson Motors. That's all from us.
What? Just because I made a little mistake, you're pulling out of all future dealings? What about all the good we've done before? Not even a shred of gratitude.
That's not true. Personally and professionally, we've endured humiliation from you, Jeff Talbot.
How do you know that name?
The technician who came with the sample last time is from our group company, Northfield Metalworking.
What? That doesn't matter now.
Originally, Jeff worked as an employee at Northfield Metalworking. He was a good-looking guy who had been a club host, renowned for his unparalleled way with women, reportedly spending nights with different women every day. Amidst this lifestyle, he met Charles' daughter, and unexpectedly, she informed him of her pregnancy. Jeff, planning to leave his job in the town, was delayed by the woman who was supposed to leave with him. In a twist of fate, he was forcibly taken to the Charles house. Jeff, who didn't care about which woman he was with, was surprised when he arrived at the house he was taken to. He realized that as a subcontractor's employee, he had become a candidate to be the president of a main contracting company. It was what you might call a stroke of luck, marrying into a wealthy family. After the wedding, he got a big house, luxury foreign cars. It seemed like he was on top of the world, and soon he became a department head, and then a division head the following year. All this information came from the Northfield metalworking technician and Steve from Johnson Motors. Could it be, Jeff, are you just a high school grad, or did you even drop out? Are you below the lowly level you talk about?
What do you think I'm a high school dropout?
You know Thomas, right? He was tough on us in club activities. I'm a junior from your school.
Did you graduate from Lincoln High?
Yes.
You, Jeff, Harry, and my father, and Harry's father all graduated from Lincoln High.
Well, it's a prestigious school.
Yeah, I was the top student in my local middle school. But when I got to high school, I was surrounded by geniuses. Lost all motivation. I started working as a club host. Yeah, I dropped out. So what? I'm a lowlife.
Anyway, being a lowlife doesn't matter. We're adults. We'll stop dealings with Johnson Motors and claim unpaid payments and damages. We'll see you in court.
What does this mean? A subcontractor suing the main contractor.
Jeff, it seems you've been acting the same elsewhere. Unpaid wages, arrogant behavior. Your last card was threatening to stop dealings with us. Now you know how that feels.
A subcontractor, of all people. Whatever happens is not my problem. I'll have it made somewhere else.
If you can, please do. Thank you.
Understood. We'll take this as an expensive lesson. We'll take it to heart.
Charles made him apologize again.
Darn it. I'll find someone to make it.
Charles grabbed Jeff and they left together. Jeff had found a company overseas willing to manufacture the parts for half the price we had quoted. He called our office recently, boasting about how relieved he was to have the parts delivered on time and wishing he'd gone with them from the start. A few weeks later, there was a recall at one of Johnson Motors' clients. It was caused by defective parts supplied by them. The client demanded a hefty compensation. It turned out that Jeff had the parts made overseas based on the design drawings we had provided for the main contractor. Those drawings were for the sample, and the final product required an additional 100 improvements. Jeff was fired for the entire fiasco. He also got divorced, was kicked out of his house, and he ended up with a massive burden of alimony and child support. I heard a rumor from a salesperson I know that Jeff was seen working shakily at a construction site, but unfortunately, I couldn't confirm it. Johnson Motors, despite using our sample design, faced a huge lawsuit from the main contractor for leaking it. Moreover, the overseas company that used the design as a base went on to make several improvements and launched it as their own hit product. A few years later, rumors of them going public were quashed, and it seemed like they could go under at any time. We couldn't take jobs from Johnson Motors anymore, but we received offers from 3 of the world's largest auto parts companies. The recall fiasco with Johnson Motors had spread the word about the sample we had created. After several remote meetings and performance tests on site, we negotiated in Japan and reached a mutual agreement. The deal amounted to over $70 million. My younger sister and brother graduated from college, my sister securing a job at a government office and my brother at a securities firm, easing my financial burden. Both of them attending public high school and a national university really eased my financial burden. Around that time, I asked Rachel out for dinner after a successful business deal. Learning that she was single, I half-jokingly invited her to a movie over the weekend, thinking it would never happen.
Sure, it's been years since I've been asked out on a date.
We dated for a year without our colleagues or superiors finding out, and then we got married. Rachel stays, and Harry becomes a house husband, right? I was often teased at work. It turned out everyone knew about us long before and had pretended not to notice. My sister and brother insisted on paying for the wedding, making our honeymoon possible. You always said Johnson Motors was a great company which taught you a lot about sales.
Well, you learned a lot, didn't you?
That night, I recounted the day's events to Rachel, now my wife.
But it's sad for his wife and kids to get divorced.
Steve said Jeff never liked kids, never even held them once, or rather, his kids never warmed up to him. Even after getting married, his affairs were exposed. It seems like the divorce was due to a culmination of things, not just a work mistake.
What about you, Harry? Any affairs?
Me? I'm not handsome enough for that. I'm more worried about Rachel, a beautiful in a good shape woman. At work, I became responsible for 5 subordinates.
Is this thanks to your wife's support?
And the teasing continues.